Hi. One of my colleagues decided to stop contributing to his pre-tax retirement account and instead contribute to his after-tax Roth 401k after about 15 years of maximum contributions. His thinking is he'll be less impacted by RMDs in the future. To me, this seems like a judgment call because there seem to be just too many variables in deciding whether to take the tax hit now or push it to later. I'd like to know if there are any sensible ways to calculate or estimate at what number we should stop contributing to pre-tax accounts and switch to after-tax, if that's even possible. Thank you.
All right. Should your colleague do Roth 401k or traditional 401k because he's worried about RMDs? Well, there are two resources on the website you ought to know about with regards to this question. The first one is a post called Should You Make Roth or Traditional 401k Contributions? It's really actually a fairly complex situation. There's a general rule of thumb. The general rule of thumb is when you are in a low income year, you do not take the tax deferral. You use a Roth account. If you are in your peak earnings years, you use a tax deferred account. That's the rule of thumb. There are lots of exceptions to it. For example, a resident that's going for public service loan forgiveness is going to want to use a tax deferred account, despite the fact that they're in a low income year. Likewise, a super saver that's going to have $15 million in their IRA by the time they're done with everything, you may want to actually be making Roth contributions even during your peak earnings years. But the general rule is during peak earnings years, use tax deferred. Other years, sabbatical years, early retirement years, residency fellowship, that year you leave training, all those years are great years to make Roth 401k contributions. Frankly, a lot of people are way too worried about RMDs. The RMD on a typical physician IRA or 401k or retirement is not enough that you should be worried about it, quite honestly. Unless you've got a tax-deferred account that's going to be $5 million plus, the RMDs just aren't that high. And so I wouldn't spend a lot of time worrying about those. You can learn more about that in a post called Don't Fear the Reaper on the White Coat Investor blog. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.